Regular people love nothing more than starting fights that they have virtually no chance of winning, something that leaves them wide open for some hilariously brutal consequences. Watching this absolute hammer taking to the ring for his pro debut was just as crazy as you might expect. Seriously, even he's fighting heavyweights, you can just see the size difference between them. Pudzianowski is almost like a more jacked Brock Lesnar, and that's saying something. And you can just hear the excitement from the crowd when Mariusz started to go to work with leg kicks here, ending a short feeling-out process with a barrage of low kicks that seemed like baseball bats hitting his opponent's legs. And eventually, when Pudzianowski's hands started flying, his opponent quickly crumbled. Mariusz was so violent with his finishing sequence that the ref practically needed to drag him free and hold him still until he cooled off. Sure, his skills were still pretty rough, but you could see that Mariusz had the raw physical talent to become a handful in the cage. One fight, one win, and one rapid finish. That's an incredibly brutal fighter, folks.
Był low kick, był także prosty, który trafił w głowę Pudzianowskiego. Sylwia w tej chwili absolutnie dominuje. Jeszcze jeden low kick, widział walkę z Kawaguchim, widział, że...
After winning his next fight to move to 2-0, Mariusz was thrown into the deep end in just his third ever walk to the cage, taking on the former two-time UFC heavyweight champion Tim Sylvia, a fighter who could arguably match him in terms of physicality. And though Sylvia was a little past his prime, he was still an incredibly tough assignment for a fighter so inexperienced. And sure enough, the longer this bout went on, the more it became apparent that this was a mismatch.
Rozegrana ta chwila przez Mariusza, chwilę odpoczęcia.
Sylvia quickly began to tire the muscle-bound Polishman out, eventually reducing him to a pretty tame challenge. And in round 2, when Tim started landing decent shots on the feet,
Sylwia w tej chwili absolutnie dominuje. Jeszcze jeden low kick, widział walkę z Kawaguchim, widział, że Japończyk kopał i Pudzianowski odczuwał te ciosy.
Oj, bezładnie osunął się na plecy Mariusz.
Pudzianowski literally just collapsed on the ground, and as soon as Sylvia began landing ground and pound, Mariusz decided to cut his losses and tap out to strikes. Trust us though, this was an important stepping stone for Pudzianowski, and a lesson about his limitations, but also a loss that would be followed by some truly destructive showings.
So, this is Ajun, who we've seen before too. So this is from the other angle. Oof, man, it was a right roundhouse kick. Notice that the footage is flipped.
And to kick things off, and trust us, kick is a good choice of word. We have an incredibly rapid finish in this battle between a kung fu fighter and an MMA athlete who is far better prepared for the task at hand. This one does not take long at all. At first, the MMA guy finds his range, which he does in a matter of seconds, and nails this kung fu fighter with a huge head kick that he just simply had no defense for.
He comes back, the kung fu guy. Ooh, wow.
At such an early stage in the fight, you'd expect the kung fu practitioner to be a little more focused on defense as he gauged his adversary's timing. But no, that wasn't part of his game plan. And in the end, he was made to pay the ultimate price for his mistake. This next one is a truly mean knockout blow. Whenever these brawlers decide to challenge Muay Thai coaches, the resulting contest often plays out similarly to this one. At first, the coach will allow their target to punch themselves out a little bit, sitting back and relying on defense as they decide what weapons to use. And in this case, once the coach was satisfied that the opening was there, he landed a huge head kick that landed on the top side of his target's head. And with that, this bout was over. Some guys have a habit of overestimating their chances against a legit trainer, someone who has devoted themselves for years to their craft, and that's exactly what we saw here.
Very wide stance that he's doing. I love the elbow. You think he threw an elbow? There you go, throw a kick, man. Ow.
Yet another Xu Xiaodong classic, the Chinese mixed martial artist who is quickly becoming a real favorite of this channel. And for this entry, He made a point of exposing this Wing Chun fighter for his shortcomings. And after making his reads and throwing him around a little, Zhao Dong moved in for the kill with a big barrage. And like a lot of Wing Chun guys, their style of defense just wasn't enough to deal with a flurry of incoming shots. And the referee was quick to step in and prevent Xu from dishing out any further. Point proven. Yet another feather in this fighter's cap, as he continues to seek out challenges from martial arts masters who he deems to be proponents of outdated styles, or in some cases, complete fakers. This guy was legit when it came to Wing Chun, but that simply wasn't enough. With a record of 9 wins and 3 losses with a single no contest, this experiment appeared to be playing out pretty well for KSW. And so they decided to keep the trend of matching this hulking 300 LB killer
A to wtedy naprawdę jest ciężko, latające kolano, idealnie w tempo przechwytuje to Pudzianowski.
up with known names within the combat sports world, moving next to the kickboxer Peter Graham.
Urko June was the one to do it, and from the opening round showed no remorse.
Sharp, the strikes are quick, and he needs to keep out of the way. But Yun understands that.
Mariusz lost his next fight as well, this time by submission, but over the next few years, you could see this monstrous talent begin to refine his skill set, and more important, shore up his gas tank a bit. In 2019, when he took on Urko June, Mariusz engaged in a high-octagon war with his opponent, with both men showing real determination to try and take the other's head clean off their shoulders. But if you needed any proof of Mariusz's fighting spirit, the fact that he came close to losing on several occasions but didn't quit tells you everything.
For a second, Pujan was holding on to an arm, but I think this is a smarter strategy. Sit low on the hips, keep punching. Referee giving a warning here, this looks close.
Even when the second round came and Pudzianowski found himself on bottom, he still managed to persevere and eventually drive his way into a winning position, shooting a big double leg that led him to a ground-and-pound finish. Sure, his strength and power are always going to be there, but Mariusz was becoming even more dangerous thanks to what he learned as he grew in experience. This next one is the kind of satisfying beatdown that we just love to feature on this channel. This guy was so incredibly cocky in the lead-up to this fight, showing absolutely no respect for his opponent's skills or just basic respect in any sense. They were signed up for a bare-knuckle fight, and it was clear that this guy was going to try and use any trick in the book to get a reaction from his opponent, but his rival was far calmer, more stoic, and seemingly more fixated on the task at hand. Even in the final seconds before this bout kicked off, he was trying to provoke a reaction, not knowing that his punishment was a matter of seconds away. Some guys just deserve to lose. There's no other way to put it. And in this case, the first knockdown came pretty early on, as his opponent recklessly charged into range and got caught. From there, it was only a matter of time before he was battered to the point of not being able to continue. This was karma at its finest, folks. One of these guys, the shorter dude with the afro, decided to relentlessly troll this pro MMA prospect Lorenzo Trevino online, promising him that he would beat him up badly if their paths ever crossed inside the cage. Who knows why he believed this so firmly? Or why he picked on a 2-0 professional? But eventually Lorenzo invited him down to the gym and proceeded to make a fool out of him in this viral beating. The speed, the footwork, the technique, the power, the head movement. The advantages were all clearly on one side here. You just can't step into a fight with someone this much better than you and expect to have good results. And when this street fighter decides to try and punch, just look at how hilarious his form is. Thankfully, this video went viral enough.
My game is elevating and just getting to that next level.
That this wannabe bully probably was forced to accept that he had some real problems with delusion. But you never know with guys like this. He seems like the type of guy who would still be stubborn, despite this clear proof of his terrible skills. In the end, Trevino wasn't merciless in there. He didn't go out to totally ruin the guy, but he did confidently beat him up and made a pretty firm statement in doing so. He prohibited the Thai fighter from landing more than one knee in the clinch in succession. What we got was a truly ridiculous mix. Buakaw outstriking him, the Kung Fu fighter repeatedly kicking Buakaw low. And And then eventually, some complaints from the Kung Fu guy about singular knees that were totally legal. What this looked like was a guy who realized that he was totally out of his depth, and he resorted to low blows and faked outrage to try and get out of a KO loss. And it worked. But Buakaw was butchering this dude.
Look at that. He's trying some Kung Fu techniques. Going in aggressive. Ooh, Buakaw just swept him. So, uh-oh. Down there again. Oh, down there again. Oh, that one looked like it hurt, man. Oh, good hook by Kung Fu Master. Oh, there you go. Clinch range. So, are they going to continue? Oh, they're going to continue, guys. They're going to continue. They're going to continue, guys. They're going to continue. There we go. All right, let's see what happens. Oh, Buakaw threw another knee.
This next one is all kinds of messy. This Kung Fu fighter took on the legendary Buakaw under a modified rule set that basically prohibited the Thai fighter from landing more than one knee in the clinch in succession. What we got was a truly ridiculous mix, Buakaw outstriking him, the Kung Fu fighter repeatedly kicking Buakaw low, and then eventually, some complaints from the Kung Fu guy about singular knees that were totally legal. What this looked like was a guy who realized that he was totally out of his depth, and he resorted to low blows and faked outrage to try and get out of a KO loss, and it worked. But Buakaw was butchering this dude.
When he's trying to put power into any of his strikes, it's too telegraphed. Man, David got some great head movement.
Next up, have a 51-year-old guy who decides to dust off his gloves and step in there against a taller, longer, and younger opponent to see exactly where his skills are at, and as it turns out, they're still pretty damn good. His opponent certainly isn't too bad either, and he lands a few decent shots from time to time, but with a lot of these backyard fights, there are holes in these fighters' defense that are there to be exploited.
30 seconds left.
And when the old guy finds the perfect shot to rock his target, it just takes one more clean attack to put him down and leave him stiffened out on the canvas. Age is only a number, folks. Make no mistake about it.
And this guy just says that he can beat her. Dude, he takes another one of those even light taps to the face. He's gonna sparring, which means hits to the body, punches and kicks are good. Regret this. You see that? Ooh, again. Ooh, ouch. Look at that.
Here's what happens when a relatively unskilled dude thinks that he can hang with a legitimately good female Kyokushin karate fighter. Notice just how much difficulty he is having with the body punches. A lot of his effort is spent worrying about the kicks, but as this spar goes on, you'll notice just how much his gas tank is beginning to suffer because of that punishment to the midsection. Eventually, the head kicks start coming more frequently, and you get the sense that if this Kyokushin fighter was not holding back, she could have laid him out on the floor with one of those shots.
Come out. I need to go to my corner. Hold on.
There's nothing wrong with having muscles, but if that's all you have and you're hoping to outwork a BJJ fighter on the mat, yeah, good luck with that. Now, this session between a bodybuilder and a jiu-jitsu guy was all in good faith, and there was no real tension here, but it does give you an idea of just how easy it is for a high-level grappler to totally dismantle and dominate someone who doesn't really know what they're doing. And this muscle-bound guy is lucky that he's on good terms and friendly with this guy, because he had him in all kinds of trouble the minute they wrapped up. There are levels to this, folks. Don't make the mistake of forgetting that.
And right there, that's skinny Xu Xiaodong before the pot belly. Look at that. So Xu Xiaodong, look, he's got the state. You see it in his early days. The chin sticking out, you see that? Hey, it's kind of like him pummeling the Kung Fu Master right now. But you see, when you know Jiu-Jitsu...
We thought it might be fun to leave you with the origin story of the great Chinese martial arts debunker, Xu Xiaodong. This was a pivotal clash for him many years ago, when he was just a Sanda fighter. He came up against a BJJ guy and basically got absolutely demolished, rendered totally helpless in a way that really showed him his limitations. As soon as this contest began, Xiaodong was taken to the mat.
He's never trained in this in Sanda. Sanda has throws and stuff, but no...
And controlled from top position. And once his opponent found the mount, he began to rain down ground and pound while searching for the submission. When Xu finally managed to explode out of the position, it was a trap, and his arm was left totally exposed to his opponent's armbar. This was a humbling moment for this young martial artist, and a lesson that would have huge ramifications for his fighting journey from this point onwards.